Scene opens perhaps with a shot of a quiet suburban house, then focuses on a man, Mark, looking thoughtful. Have you ever been so sure about something, only to have the rug pulled out from under you in the most unexpected way? This is a story about Mark and Sarah, a couple who seemed to have it all. From the outside, they were the perfect pair. High school sweethearts, married for 10 years, living in a beautiful home with a life everyone envied. But as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. What happens when the foundation of that perfect life begins to crack? And what happens when the reaction isn't what anyone, especially Sarah, could have ever predicted? Mark was a man who believed in simple truths. He believed in hard work, loyalty, and the promises he made at the altar. For a decade, he poured his heart and soul into his marriage with Sarah. He was the steady rock, the one who remembered anniversaries, fixed leaky faucets, and always made sure her favorite ice cream was in the freezer. He thought their love was a fortress, unshakable and secure. But lately, a shadow had fallen over their home. Sarah had become distant, her laughter less frequent, her phone perpetually glued to her hand, angled away from him. Mark noticed the late nights she called work dinners, the new expensive clothes she bought, and the way she'd flinch when he tried to hold her hand. The signs were all there, like small painful cracks in a beautiful vase. He tried to talk to her, to bridge the growing chasm between them, but his words were met with defensive walls and vague excuses. The woman he loved was becoming a stranger. The breaking point came on their 10th anniversary. Mark had planned a surprise weekend getaway to the same cozy cabin where he had proposed. He'd spent weeks preparing every detail, hoping to reignite the spark they seemed to have lost. That Friday afternoon, he came home early, flowers in hand, only to find Sarah hurriedly packing a suitcase. She wasn't packing for a romantic trip with him. "It's a last-minute work conference," she said, her eyes refusing to meet his. "I'm so sorry, Mark. We'll celebrate when I get back, I promise." The lie hung heavy in the air, thick and suffocating. Mark knew. He had known for a while, but hearing the lie spoken so easily shattered the last remnants of his hope. In that moment, a profound and heavy sadness washed over him. But underneath it, something else stirred. A quiet, steely resolve. All the arguments he'd rehearsed in his mind, all the pleas he thought he would make, they all evaporated. He simply looked at her, the woman he had loved for more than half his life, and nodded. "Okay, Sarah, be safe." Her surprise was visible. She had expected a fight, tears, begging. His calm acceptance unsettled her. She gave him a quick, awkward hug and rushed out the door, her relief mixed with a strange, gnawing guilt. She was free, she told herself, heading off to a weekend with someone else, someone who made her feel new and exciting. She pushed the image of Mark's sad, accepting face from her mind. After she left, the silence in the house was deafening. Mark walked through the rooms they had built a life in, each object a memory, each photo a ghost of a happier time. He didn't shatter things or drown his sorrows. Instead, he sat down at the kitchen table, the very table where they had shared thousands of meals, and he began to cook. He prepared all of her favorite dishes, the lasagna she loved, the garlic bread she could never resist, the chocolate lava cakes that always made her smile. He methodically filled the kitchen with the aromas of their shared life. As the sun set, Mark packed away the feast he had prepared. He labeled each container with neat, clear handwriting. Then he took a single sheet of paper and a pen. He didn't write a letter of anger or accusation. He didn't pour out his heartbreak. He simply wrote a note. A short, simple note that he placed in the center of the kitchen table, right where she would see it. Finally, he packed a single bag for himself, took one last look around the home that was no longer his, and walked out, closing the door quietly behind him. 2 days later, Sarah returned. She walked into the house expecting to find a sullen, heartbroken husband ready to demand answers. Instead, she found an empty, silent home. A chill ran down her spine. "Mark?" she called out, her voice echoing in the stillness. Nothing. Then she saw it. The single piece of paper on the kitchen table. Her heart pounded as she picked it up. She braced herself for pages of rage and pain. But the note was just a few lines. It read, "My dearest Sarah, I hope you had a good trip. I know you've been unhappy for a while, and I'm sorry I couldn't be the man to make you happy anymore. Your favorite meals are in the fridge. I packed them up for you because I don't want you to have to worry about cooking for the next few days. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I think we both know this is for the best. I will always wish you happiness. Goodbye, Mark." The note fell from her fingers. It wasn't the screaming match she had prepared for. It wasn't the dramatic confrontation she had in some way been craving. It was kindness. It was love. It was a final act of care from the man she had so casually betrayed. She stumbled to the refrigerator and opened it. There it was, just as the note said. Lasagna, garlic bread, everything, perfectly packed. A wave of nausea, of profound and gut-wrenching regret, washed over her. The fancy dinners, the whispered promises from the other man, they all turned to ash in her mouth. She realized in that crushing moment that the thrill of the affair was a cheap imitation of the deep, steady love she had just thrown away. Mark hadn't begged her to stay. He hadn't fought for her. He had loved her, right up to the very end. He loved her enough to make sure she had dinner after she got back from betraying him. He loved her enough to let her go. The note didn't fix what was broken, and it didn't magically bring Mark back. But it did something far more powerful. It held up a mirror to Sarah's actions, and for the first time, she saw the full weight of her choices. Not through the lens of anger, but through the lens of a love she hadn't deserved. It was a lesson she would carry with her for the rest of her life. Sometimes the most powerful statements aren't shouted in anger, but are whispered in a final heartbreaking act of kindness. This story is a powerful reminder that our actions have consequences, and that true strength isn't always about fighting to hold on, but sometimes it's about having the grace to let go. What did you think of Mark's reaction? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content that makes you think and feel. Stay kind to one another, and we'll see you in the next video.